Imagine living with such great tranquility that nothing can disturb you. Criticism, insults, work problems, or family disputes can't shake your peace. Sounds like a dream, right? But it's not impossible. The Stoic philosophers, who lived thousands of years ago, mastered this skill. They were not emotionless beings. Rather, they learned to control their emotions and maintain calmness, even when everything around them seemed to be falling apart. Stoicism is a practical philosophy that teaches us to focus on what we can change, our thoughts and reactions, while letting go of what we cannot control, such as other people's actions or life's unpredictability. And the best part is that these ideas, created so long ago, are extremely useful for dealing with stress and anger in today's fast-paced world. In this video, I'll show you how to apply Stoicism to manage anger and live with more tranquility. If you follow these guidelines, you'll realize that you don't need to get upset or worry so much about what others do. Change doesn't come from the world. It comes from within you. Before we begin, I want to invite you to do 3 things. First, write in the comments, "Today marks the beginning of my best version." This is a commitment to yourself to train your mind and live with more discipline. Second, like this video right now. Your support helps us share these ideas with more people. And lastly, get ready to notice what inspires you the most. Let's discover together how the Stoics can transform your perspective on life. Shall we begin? First, why is anger so harmful? Anger is a dangerous emotion. It surrounds us and affects us internally, clouding our clarity and leading us to make poor decisions that we later regret. For the Stoics, anger was seen as an obstacle to a good life, as it causes us to lose reason and act impulsively. It is not strength. It is weakness, as it shows that we cannot control ourselves. Anger is like a fire. It starts with a spark, a misunderstood word, an injustice, an unforeseen event. If we feed it with negative thoughts, it transforms into a flame that destroys our peace, our relationships, and harms our health. Studies confirm what the Stoics already knew. Anger raises blood pressure, weakens the immune system, and can lead to heart problems. It is a poison for both body and mind. Epictetus said that it is not external things that trouble us, but how we think about them. If someone offends you, what hurts is the weight you give to the offense. Controlling our perspective is the first step to overcoming anger. When anger takes over, we act thoughtlessly. Yelling or cursing may seem right in the moment, but later we realize we only made things worse. A moment of anger can destroy years-long friendships or bonds. Seneca compared anger to a temporary madness where we lose control. Often our reactions are exaggerated during a fight with someone we care about. Harsh words, seemingly permissible, but later we see that calmness would have resolved the issue. Anger blinds us. It makes us seek revenge instead of solutions, creating a cycle of hurt. The Stoics teach that self-control and reflection are the tools against it. Marcus Aurelius said that life is short, and most of the problems that irritate us are irrelevant. The next time you feel angry, ask yourself, is it worth it? Nothing outside of you has power over you unless you allow it. Second, negative feelings stem from broken hopes. Most of the feelings that bring us down, anger, hurt, sadness, disappointment, or irritation, arise when things don't go as we imagined. These negative feelings are a direct result of unmet hopes, plans that don't materialize, and desires clashing with the reality of how life unfolds. This is because we often create mental images of how things should happen, how people should act, or how the world should function. When reality doesn't align with this ideal, we feel betrayed, as if life has broken a promise to us. In truth, emotional pain almost always arises from the distance between what we wanted and what actually happens. We expect others to treat us with the same kindness we offer, that our plans will succeed, that people will keep their promises, and that the world will be just. But the world doesn't operate according to our desires. It follows its own unpredictable course, often beyond our control. The Stoics, like Seneca, warned us about this. He said we suffer more from the stories we create in our heads than from the facts themselves. In other words, it is not exactly what happens that hurts us, but how we perceive what happened. When we believe that everything should follow our wishes, we are creating an emotional trap. It's like betting all our chips on something we can't control. Others, the future, other people's reactions. Let's take an example. Imagine you deeply trust someone and are sure that this person would never lie to you. When that happens, what hurts is not just the lie, but the shattered idealized image. It feels like the ground has disappeared beneath your feet. Another common example. You work hard, give your best, and expect your boss to recognize your efforts. But that doesn't happen. The frustration comes because you created an expectation of reward that didn't materialize, leaving you feeling angry or wronged. The Stoic philosophers teach us to let go of those invisible shackles that are expectations. This doesn't mean becoming cold, without dreams, or without the desire to improve our lives. On the contrary, it means keeping our feet on the ground, understanding that not everything is under our command, and that it is wiser to care for our attitude than to try to control everything around us. Epictetus, for example, said that we should embrace what happens as if it were our choice. It may seem strange at first, but this mindset changes everything. When we accept that life will present us with situations outside our desires, we begin to react with greater maturity. It's not that we stop feeling pain, but we cease to fight against it. And by doing so, we suffer less. Abandoning exaggerated or unrealistic expectations is, in fact, an act of self-love. When you accept that people will act in ways you can't predict, that you won't always be recognized, and that plans can change, you stop hurting so much from what doesn't depend on you. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to ask, "What can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me?" Flowing with life isn't about being passive. It's about being smart. It means learning to surf the waves instead of trying to stop them from coming. It means stopping the demand for life to fit our plans and starting to truly live with courage and openness to the unexpected. Inner peace arises when we understand that the world isn't here to fulfill our scripts, yet we can still walk firmly and calmly, even when everything changes direction. Third, forgiveness ends anger. Anger is a weight we carry without realizing it. We hold on to resentment thinking we're punishing those who hurt us, but the one who suffers is ourselves. It robs our peace and keeps us tethered to the past. Forgiveness is the key to setting ourselves free. It doesn't mean forgetting or justifying the wrong. It means ceasing to suffer for something that has already happened. Forgiving is a gift to oneself, a way to restore tranquility. When we hold on to anger, we keep reliving the pain. Marcus Aurelius said that the best punishment for those who hurt us is not to act like them. Holding on to anger gives that person power over us. Forgiveness returns control to us. Consider someone who was betrayed by a friend. The hurt doesn't affect the one who betrayed, it only harms the one who carries it. Forgiving and accepting that the past cannot be changed and shouldn't dominate the present doesn't mean trusting again, but rather stopping the past from affecting you. Forgiveness requires strength because it is a choice to release pain. Seneca stated that anger takes away our control. If someone hurts you and you respond with bitterness, you're giving that person power over you. But if you forgive, you reclaim your peace. Epictetus reminded us that we do not control others, only our reactions. By forgiving, you free yourself to invest your energy in something more important. The true revenge is moving forward without letting anger consume you. Fourth, learn not to react. When something irritates us, the tendency is to react immediately, filled with emotion. We want to defend ourselves, to prove we're right. But in that moment, we're acting on impulse, not with reason. That's when we say things we regret or make the situation worse. Not reacting gives us control over our responses and prevents emotional exhaustion. Pausing before speaking, resisting the impulse, is to have power over oneself. It isn't about swallowing feelings, but training the mind not to be dominated by them. Marcus Aurelius said the best way to deal with an offense is not to behave like the one who offended you. Reacting with anger falls into the other person's trap. Staying calm shows that your peace doesn't depend on anyone else. In daily life, we have many opportunities to practice. A colleague says something unpleasant. A driver cuts you off. A relative provokes you. You choose whether to fuel the fight or look at the situation calmly and respond wisely. Epictetus said it's not what happens that affects us, but how we perceive it. If someone criticizes you and you take it personally, you will react with anger. But if you pause to consider whether it's worth it, you might respond with serenity. Seneca noted that time filters emotions. What seems important today may not matter tomorrow. Waiting before reacting brings clarity. Not reacting doesn't mean accepting disrespect, but choosing to act wisely. If something deserves a response, it will be more effective with a calm mind. When you feel the urge to react, remember, you can let the emotion pass. By doing this, conflicts diminish, stress decreases, and provocations lose their impact. Not reacting is freedom to decide how to respond without being controlled by circumstances. Fifth, living with purpose alleviates anger. Without purpose, life feels empty and directionless. Waking up without a clear reason to move forward becomes a dull routine, and this emptiness breeds frustration and exaggerated reactions. Any problem seems monumental because there's nothing more significant to focus on. Stoics understood that peace comes from having a purpose aligned with our values, something that gives life meaning. Without that, everything becomes a distraction. Traffic irritates you, words hurt you, life seems unfair. With a purpose, these things lose significance because your focus shifts away from them and towards what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius suggested we ask ourselves, why am I here? What truly matters to me? When we know the answer, frustrations cease to dominate us. You don't react to provocations because your energy is directed towards something more valuable. I remember a time when I felt aimless, stuck in a dull routine. Everything annoyed me because I had no reason to wake up. When I found my purpose, creating content, helping people, problems became mere details. Anger vanished because I focused on what was worthwhile. Epictetus said that purpose isn't found, it's created. You decide who you want to be and what you want to offer. It's not about waiting for inspiration, but taking action. Seek what makes you feel alive with purpose. Frustration decreases as you stop clinging to what you can't control. Challenges become part of the journey, and each day has meaning. If life frustrates you, ask, is there a clear purpose? Discover what motivates you, and anger will fade into mere background noise. Sixth, train your mind to react differently. The brain isn't stuck reacting in the same way every time. With neuroplasticity, we can teach it to respond calmly to things that once bothered us. Thinking, this is just how I am, is a mistake. The brain is flexible, like a muscle. If we react with anger every time, we reinforce that behavior. But if we choose to respond calmly, that becomes the new pattern. When something irritates us, the instinct is to follow what we're used to. But you're not stuck always reacting with anger. Our brain is malleable thanks to neuroplasticity, which is the ability to create new neural pathways through what we repeatedly do. This means we can train our minds to respond calmly to situations that used to irritate us. Saying, I'm just this way and can't change, is false. The brain is like a muscle. The more you practice something, the easier it becomes. If we react with anger every time something provokes us, we are reinforcing that pattern. However, if we choose to respond with tranquility, we create a new habit that, with practice, becomes natural. When something irritates you, the impulse is to fall back into old behavior. But if you pause and react differently, you begin to create a new pathway in your brain. This requires effort and repetition, as new habits take time to establish. I remember a time when my dog broke something I cherished. My first impulse was to shout. Instead, I took a deep breath and petted him. I felt angry, but I chose calmness. I had to do this several times in similar situations, and over time, my brain learned that anger wasn't necessary. The tension I felt before started to diminish. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius understood that we control our reactions. Even without knowledge of neuroplasticity, he said, you have power over your mind, not over external events. Science confirms this. Every time we resist anger and choose calmness, we strengthen that new pattern. It's not quick. It requires patience. At first, it may feel like you're forcing calmness, but over time, it will become your natural response. One day, things that used to make you furious will seem trivial because your brain has adapted. Anger is a habit we can unlearn, while tranquility is one we can learn. Start today. In the next difficult situation, pause, breathe, and choose calmness. Seventh, love and gratitude. Overcome anger. Anger is an emotion that drains our energy and takes away our control. But we can confront it with love and gratitude, which help us shift our focus from what's wrong to what we value. These practices don't erase anger immediately, but with practice, they diminish its power because they enable us to view life more positively. When we're angry, our minds get stuck on the problem or the injustice. By focusing on what we love or what we're grateful for, we can pull energy away from anger and return to calmness. Love reminds us what truly matters. If you're angry with someone, ask yourself, do I want to win this argument or maintain this friendship? When we prioritize love, being right becomes less important. Anger seeks revenge. Love seeks understanding and connection. For instance, in a fight with a friend, remembering what you've experienced together can prompt you to choose kind words instead of aggressive ones. Gratitude also holds great power. It's impossible to feel resentment and gratitude at the same time, right? If something irritates you, pause and think of 3 things you're grateful for. Your health, someone you care about, an opportunity you had. This simple exercise shifts your mindset and helps you regain control. I experienced this during a time when I was easily irritated. When I felt anger rising, I would pause and think of something I was grateful for, like being alive or having someone's support. At first it felt forced, but with practice, my mind began to do this automatically. Once, someone was rude to me, and I thought, I'm grateful for my health and for being able to move on. This kept me calm, not because the person deserved it, but because I chose to maintain my peace. Marcus Aurelius said life is short. Why waste it on anger? Epictetus taught that our emotions depend on what we choose to think. Focusing on the good weakens anger with daily practice. Love and gratitude can become habits that make you calmer and less reactive, not because the world has changed, but because you've learned to see it differently. 8th, set clear boundaries. Without well-defined boundaries, you let others decide how to treat you, which can lead to frustration and anger. Establishing boundaries isn't about being rude or rejecting people. It's about calmly and firmly communicating where your patience, time, and energy end. It's your responsibility to decide what you will accept. When you don't do this, it seems okay to be disrespected, and that tension transforms into anger. Boundaries protect your peace and make relationships more respectful. Often we avoid saying no out of fear of conflict or appearing selfish, but failing to set boundaries creates internal conflict, leaving you drained. If someone crosses a boundary and you don't respond, you reinforce that behavior. However, if you clearly express that you don't accept it, you communicate self-worth without needing to argue. Be direct. I won't accept that kind of comment, or my time is important, please respect that. I remember when I let everyone interrupt me at work. I thought I was being polite, but I felt frustrated. I decided to change by saying calmly, I'm busy right now, let's talk later. At first, some were surprised, but over time, they began to respect my space, and I started to feel more valued. Epictetus taught that we can control how we position ourselves, not how others behave. We can't prevent disrespect, but we can choose how to react. Seneca taught that true strength lies in staying calm, even when saying no. Setting boundaries takes courage because it shows that you respect yourself. Don't wait for others to guess what bothers you. Speak clearly. If someone still doesn't respect that, ask yourself if the relationship is worth continuing. Boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about protecting your peace. With practice, you create an environment where anger diminishes because relationships become fairer and more balanced. 9th, not everything is worth it. Every day, we encounter provocations, unnecessary criticisms, or minor problems that try to throw us off balance. However, most of these things are not of great importance. We expend energy on situations that we won't even remember tomorrow, like an irrelevant criticism or a trivial argument. The key to peace is choosing where to invest your energy. Not everything deserves your attention. When something irritates you, ask, will this matter a month from now? Will it affect my life or who I am? If the answer is no, let it go. This choice protects you from distractions and helps maintain your calm. Marcus Aurelius said that peace comes from ignoring what doesn't concern us. If someone offends you on the street, does that change who you are? If someone criticizes you online, does that define who you are? Provocations only affect us if we grant them power. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't be prisoners of others' opinions. We waste energy on things we can't control. What others think of us, external problems, and others' expectations. But our energy is limited, so we should use it on what truly matters. Our goals, the people we love, and our well-being. I remember when every criticism would shake me. I felt the need to justify myself, but soon realized it was a waste of time. I started asking myself, is it worth responding? Often, silence was the better choice. Not out of weakness, but because I chose not to exhaust myself. Ignoring what doesn't matter isn't being cold, it's prioritizing what is relevant. The Stoics aim to control their reactions, not the world. True strength lies in deciding which battles are worth our effort. When you determine what is worth it, anger diminishes, and your energy is channeled towards growth, learning, and living better. You can't avoid criticism, but you can decide whether it will affect you. That is true freedom. Stoicism. 10 facts of separate interpretations. Often, we suffer not from what happens, but from what we think it means. Our minds create stories about events, and it's these stories, not the events themselves, that cause anger or sadness. Stoic philosophers teach that peace comes from separating what is fact from what is our interpretation. Without this practice, we react to ideas that aren't real, trapping ourselves in unnecessary emotions. Over time, we can question these narratives and respond with clarity. If someone calls you useless, the fact is that a word was spoken. But if you believe it, that interpretation will hurt you. And what if I really am useless? Suffering comes from the story you accept, not from the fact itself. Epictetus said that it's not the events that bother us, but how we perceive them. A criticism can be an attack or an opportunity to improve, depending on how you view the situation. Our minds create labels. I'm a failure. No one values me. But these labels stem from past experiences or judgments we accept without questioning. Separating fact from interpretation requires pausing and asking yourself, is this true? I remember when I thought I wasn't capable of doing certain things because someone made me feel that way. Every challenge made me hear the voice, you won't succeed. One day, I asked myself, what's the fact? I've overcome difficulties before. So that narrative was just a belief, not reality. Over time, I began to question these thoughts, and the anger I felt started to fade. Marcus Aurelius suggested we ask ourselves, is this really that serious? Is it true? Almost always the answer is no. Train your mind to see the facts without distortions. Did someone criticize me? Instead of thinking, I'm a failure, look at the situation more clearly. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes repetition. But each time you question an interpretation, you regain control. Peace comes from living with clarity, free from the stories our minds create. How to deal with anger. Recognize, understand, and care. Anger is like a fire burning inside you, but you can learn to control it with practice. The REN method, recognize, understand, care, is a simple way to handle anger without letting it take over or consume you. It's a process that requires training, but it helps transform anger into something that can teach you something new. Stoic philosophers used reflection to control their emotions, and this method follows that line of thought. First, recognize the anger. Don't try to hide or ignore it. Acknowledge, I'm angry right now. This creates space between you and the emotion. Marcus Aurelius said we should view feelings as temporary, not as part of who we are. Next, understand the reason. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Anger can stem from fear, insecurity, or unmet expectations. Epictetus taught that it's not the events that affect us, but what we think about them. Knowing what caused the anger weakens it. Lastly, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't blame yourself. You might need time to process or to change something within yourself. Marcus Aurelius stated that we should be patient with ourselves. With practice, REN will reduce the intensity of anger. You won't stop feeling it, but you'll learn to manage it without losing your calm. It will become a passing emotion rather than an automatic reaction. Over time, this process will grant you emotional freedom as you'll respond with wisdom, not impulse. Congratulations on making it this far. Finishing this video shows that you are willing to become a better person.
I hope these Stoic ideas have ignited a spark within you, showing that it's possible to control anger and live with more peace, even in a challenging world. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy. It's a guide to living with courage, calmness, and clarity. Each teaching we shared today, from forgiveness to choosing where to direct your energy, is a tool you can use in your daily life. Start small. The next time you feel anger rising, stop, breathe, and remember one of these steps.
Over time, you'll notice that serenity is becoming a part of who you are. I challenge you to put this into practice. Choose one idea from this video and try it out for a week. It could be refraining from reacting to provocations or focusing on gratitude. See how your mind and relationships change, and don't stop there. Stoicism has much more to teach, with lessons that can help in every moment of life. If you enjoyed what you learned, leave a comment. Not sure what to write? Just say gratitude. I'd love to know you made it to the end. Haven't subscribed to the channel yet? Subscribe now and join us on this journey of growth. And there's more. Here are 2 videos with more Stoic wisdom for you to continue learning. Take these ideas, apply them in your life, absorb as much of these teachings as you can, find peace, and see you in the next video.